And so I want to be recorded for history's purposes, if nothing else, to say that those of us who opposed this deal understood where it would lead, and we are making a terrible mistake.
Folks, this is unbelievable. A 2015 Senate floor speech by Marco Rubio has resurfaced, and nearly every warning he made about Obama's JCPOA ended up proving accurate. And today, we're telling you all about it. So if you enjoy content that cuts through the noise, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
I think everything that needs to be said about the details of this deal have already been said. I do want to be recorded for history's purposes before I know what is going to happen in regards to this if it goes through. Iran will immediately use the money that it's receiving in sanctions relief to begin to build up its conventional capabilities. It will establish the most dominant military power in the region outside of the United States, and it will raise the price of us operating in the region. They're going to build anti-access capabilities, rockets capable of destroying our aircraft carriers and ships, continue to build these swift boats that are able to come on us, these fast boats that are able to swarm our naval assets. And they'll make it harder and harder for U.S. troops to be in the region. They'll also work with other terrorist groups in the region to target American servicemen and women. And they may or may not deny that they're involved, but they will target us and raise the price of our presence in the Middle East until they hope to completely pull us out of that region. They'll also continue to build long-range missiles, missiles capable of reaching the United States. Those are not affected by this deal, and they'll continue to build them as they've been doing.
Everything he warned about ended up hitting the mark. On the very first day the deal was implemented, the Obama administration sent Iran $400 million in cash on pallets, followed by another $1.3 billion just days later. At the time, officials insisted that it was tied to an old arms settlement from the 1970s, and it had nothing to do with the nuclear deal. But if you look at the timing, it's questionable to say the least. Back then, the broader promise was that massive sanctions relief would help change the regime's mind, and they'd focus on improving the lives of ordinary Iranians. But instead of meaningful reform, the regime grew more aggressive, cracked down harder on protests, and expanded its grip on everyday life. Rubio didn't stop there. He went on to predict where Iran's nuclear ambitions were headed next. Take a look.
And then at some point in the near future, when the time is right, they will build a nuclear weapon. And they will do so because at that point they will know that they have become immune, that we will no longer be able to strike their nuclear program because the price of doing so will be too high. This is not just a work of imagination. It exists in the world today. It's called North Korea, where a lunatic possesses dozens of nuclear weapons and a long-range rocket that can already reach the United States. And we cannot do anything about it. An attack on North Korea today would result in an attack on Tokyo, or Seoul, or Guam, or Hawaii, or California. And so the world must now live with a lunatic in possession of nuclear weapons. And this is the goal Iran has as well, to reach a point where they become immune to any sort of credible military threat because the price of a military strike would be too high. And then they become an established nuclear weapons power. And never in the history of the world has such a regime ever possessed weapons so capable of destruction.
Now, you may support or oppose the current operation against Iran, but Rubio made one point here that's pretty hard to dispute. We've already seen the scale of destruction that Iran has caused across the Gulf region. So, imagine that same reality with nuclear weapons added to the equation. Spoiler alert, it wouldn't be a pretty situation. Keep in mind, we're talking about a theological regime that has repeatedly shown its willingness to expand power and spread its ideology through the region using various means. It all started with Hezbollah in Lebanon, then the various Iraqi militias, followed by the 70-plus armed groups in Syria, and finally the Houthis in Yemen. On top of that, they sought to destabilize countries like Jordan and Bahrain. This was exactly the broader danger Rubio expanded on next, saying this:
Iran is led by a supreme leader who is a radical Shia cleric with an apocalyptic vision of the future. He is not a traditional geopolitical actor who makes decisions on the basis of borders or simply history or because of ambitions. He has an religious apocalyptic vision of the future, one that calls for triggering a conflict between the non-Muslim world and the Muslim world, one that he feels especially obligated to trigger. And he's going to possess nuclear weapons. This is the world that we are on the verge of leaving our children to inherit. and perhaps we ourselves will have to share in it. And I hope that there is still time to change our minds, but here's the good news. Iran may have a supreme leader, but America does not. In this nation, we have a republic, and soon we will have new leaders, perhaps in this chamber, but also in the executive branch. And I pray that on their first day in office, they will reverse this deal and reimpose the sanctions and back them up with a credible threat of military force, or history will condemn us for not doing what needed to be done at this critical moment in the world's history.
Here is where the major hypocrisy from Democrats really stands out. When Obama pushed the JCPOA with Iran, it never went through Congress, which is exactly why Trump was able to withdraw from it during his first term. But now, whenever the current administration makes a foreign policy move, Democrats suddenly turn Congress into a stage for political theatrics, framing every action, no matter how small it is, as a threat to democracy. You see the same double standard with their constant War Powers Act resolutions. Under Obama or Biden, there was little appetite for that kind of pushback, but now that it's a Republican in office, we're supposed to have weekly debates about it. Going back to Rubio, fast forward a decade, and after his warning played out the way he said it would, he made sure to remind people about it. Here is what he shared during a press briefing after the launch of Epic Fury.
Going back to the purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they could inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. You see the attacks they're conducting right now? They're attacking airports. They're attacking hotels. They're hitting not just military bases, they're attacking our embassies directly. They're attacking facilities that have nothing to do with war or with military. And that's a weakened Iran. That's an Iran despite years of sanction. It's an unacceptable risk, especially in the hands of a regime that's run by radical clerics. The Ayatollah was a radical cleric. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, their view of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. That has to be taken very seriously as well. So that was the purpose for what this operation is all about.
In an era where we see politicians flip-flopping on every issue out there, Rubio's 2015 speech stands out for a few key reasons. Obviously, his warnings turning out to be accurate gave it a whole new weight. But just as important is his consistency. It also proves that Obama's deal set us on an unavoidable collision course with Iran, and someone had to do something about it, unless we wanted another North Korea on our hands. The real issue, though, was that before the current operation began, the Trump administration made little effort to clearly explain that rationale to the American public, which led to more people opposing Epic Fury than supporting it.